This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And today's guest is a true family man. Or is it family band? You know what? It's both. Please welcome Lucas Ward of the Silver Snails to the show. He takes a moment from traveling with his family to talk to me about his unusual musical path. It definitely hasn't been straightforward, but it's been incredibly fruitful. He discusses growing up and being friends with Elliot Smith back when he was known as Steven. He talks about the album that flipped his musical switch in his mind, and we also talk about mistaken credits, the vulnerability of singing, and starting the Silver Snails after moving to Italy with his family. After writing, recording, and releasing a kitchen sink debut album, there was a gap of over 10 years until the sophomore release. Lucas also talks about the unusual way the band got their name. So go check out Speed of Light, the sophomore release by the Silver Snails. Stream it or check out thesilversnails.com for ways to buy physical copies. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook for show dates and more. Follow us at Performance ANX. Grab merch at performanceanx.threadless.com or just send money to ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. And I hope you enjoy Lucas Ward as much as I did on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Okay. All right, let's give it a shot. This is Lucas Ward from the Silver Snails. I am originally from Portland, Oregon, which is my hometown, but I met a lovely lady from Italy, and so now I live in Italy, and I have 3 bambini there, and we have our own pop rock music project called The Silver Snails. We are extremely excited to be bringing you our new album. It's called Speed of Light. It was 12 years in the making. It's our second album, and we pulled out all the stops and did our best with it. And we encourage you also to check out our music videos on YouTube. This is Lucas Ward of the Silver Snails, and you're on Performance Anxiety with Mark Shea.
How you doing?
Great. Unusually for me, I'm in San Diego. I don't spend much time there, but actually I live in Italy, and I'm here with my wife and my son Elias. And we're here to see our daughter Celeste off to college. So she's moving in this weekend. So,
oh, wow.
Kind of a rare event. But we're also spending some time in Portland and playing a few shows.
Oh, cool. Oh, so is she going to UC San Diego?
She's going to, it's called University of San Diego.
Oh, okay.
It's a private school, Catholic.
The way I normally start things off is way back in the beginning. So I like to find out, what it was like growing up. I mean, was music an important part of the house growing up? Was there any professional musicians in the family history? What was it like for you?
Yes, that's a great question. When I look back, I realize I was completely saturated in music. I mean, yes, my dad's an amateur musician. My earliest memories of him playing a Martin guitar, he would play like Bob Dylan songs. Nice. And it was just like magic for me. Before I could even walk, there's pictures of me and that guitar, which is still around. And then there's all these incredible programs in school. Like I went to a magnet school for people interested in music, and I got to study with the best, sort of keyboard players in the city, and we did little combos, and there was a lot of interesting, like, foreign culture as well. So there's a big Irish scene, a guy named Kevin Burke. There's a master drummer from Ghana named Obo Adi, who had this incredible, like, Afro-pop dance band.
Oh, wow.
And I interacted with him. Most of these people I was able to interact with directly because it was small. And of course, the craziest one is my freshman year of high school, I became friends with a guy named Steven Smith, and he became Elliot.
Right, yeah. That's amazing.
And so he was a huge influence and a close friend kind of in the school years.
So where were you growing up? Whereabouts was this happening?
Portland, Oregon.
So that was, all right. So
yeah.
What instrument did you begin with? What was your very first instrument?
I want to say piano. Okay. Although I did do some saxophone in there, but I don't even put that on the list. Right. So piano for sure. I started taking classical lessons at 10, and then I switched to jazz, and then over time moved more towards pop.
Okay. So when did it really start to take a hold of you? I mean, was it due to stuff you were listening to? When did it really kind of grab you? Music, that is, I guess.
Yes. Oh, music itself. I had sort of like a musical awakening. I would describe it at about 11, hearing Sgt. Pepper's on vinyl in the background.
Oh,
and
wow.
It just felt like a rush of euphoria. And that kind of showed me kind of like the music high where it could go.
Yeah.
And then later like live events, and then I got into all kinds of genres. So since an early age, then, I mean, it's always had such a strong hold on me. However, I've always struggled to balance kind of the need to make a living versus the desire to just do nothing but music. And part of it is overcoming a fear program, which is there's two conflicting messages we get as kids. One is you can do whatever you want if you just set your mind to it. You can be an astronaut, right? It's like, okay, I want to be a singer-songwriter. Okay, well, the other message that comes along with it is if you choose certain things, artistic, you're going to starve.
Yep.
And that fear of Darth has always been really strong for me. I grew up in a lower income household, 6 kids and all this stuff.
Wow.
So I ended up pursuing a financial career and kind of carrying music with me until I was able to unplug that and then do it full time for years, and then decide to basically launch my own project, which became the Silver Snails, and I invited my wife into it. And so
okay,
here we are.
You're absolutely right, because for years I was a photographer, and it was the same thing. It was you could do this, but you're not going to make a lot of money. And they were right, because I didn't make a lot of money. I was a professional photographer for 12, 15 years, something like that. And I got married, and then my wife and I talked about it. And when we started a family, she wanted to stay home with the kids. And I'm like, all right, time to get a job now. So had to go and get some health insurance and all that. And just moved to photography as a hobby. And now it's a hobby, but I get to shoot some pretty amazing stuff. I do a lot of concert photography. I live just a little outside of DC. Cool. So and I have a full-time job now, and a very understanding wife.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I mean, balance is nice too, right? Because if you just do nothing but one thing, you can go nuts. But I think there's a great example in Rodney Dangerfield. Apparently at a certain point, he and his wife, they had a very troubled relationship, but they had a kid. And so he got a job selling, I think it was aluminum siding or something, like door to door. Yeah. And he would tell jokes and stuff, but he couldn't pursue his comedy career, even though he had some early traction. So he basically he had his early traction, and then it didn't take off. And so then he became a family man, salesman. But apparently he would write jokes and put them in a bag. Oh, wow. And then later on, he had, I think he opened his own club. So he would do it in his own club because it'd be close to his daughter, because he was raising his daughter. Right. Okay. And then he would feature other people. So then he launched all these other people like Andrew Dice Clay and, all this sort of, Seinfeld. Yeah. And then he became a superstar because they put him in movies, right? Like Caddyshack. And he was like, had already had a stroke probably, but he ended up marrying, like his wife died, and then he married like a trophy wife, and he was the rest of his. I mean, so if you stay healthy and just have the mindset of like being on the path, you never know where it's going to take you. Yeah, exactly. And for a little while, I took improv classes because I was writing, and I still do writing and all, but I took it to try to help improve my writing and open me up to things. And one of the most important things I learned was, just to be open to things, saying yes to things. And that's helped me out a huge amount. And that's how I started doing podcasts and getting back into, well, not really back into photography, but focusing on concert photography. So we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Right.
But
sounds fun.
Oh, it's a blast. But this isn't about me. So let's kind of let's go back to you. So at what point did you start really writing music? Was that something that you were doing in high school, or before or after? Yeah, great question. So I think partially inspired by my friend Steven, who became Elliot Smith.
he was doing a lot of writing and recording during high school.
Wow.
And so I did some recordings and some original stuff that I presented to colleges as part of like my extracurricular stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I wrote some stuff for the jazz combo that I was in high school. So just, yeah, I think it's important like that I planted some of those seeds. And then I sort of studied and practiced a lot of music, that took a lot of lessons, in various instruments, and worked on singing and stuff like that. But I basically was doing music full time, but I didn't have a clear direction. And I had an epiphany that what I really, really wanted to do was singer-songwriter like Elliot.
Okay.
So I just sort of like diverted all of my efforts into that. And that meant focusing on voice as my main instrument, as opposed to keyboards or guitar, which I play a lot as well.
Okay.
Just because for a song to land or for a performance to land, like nothing is more important than a good lead vocal, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can never like overinvest in it. So that means that I have to kind of focus a lot of my practice time on singing, which is okay, but it's less secure than other instruments. You always feel, like, am I in tune?
Yeah.
My wife and I are going to practice today for our shows next week. But anyway, I had this epiphany that that's what I wanted to do. And it took me another couple years to sort of get all of the structure for the Silver Snails, but we launched our first record in 2012.
Right.
So the project started in 2010, and then we launched the record in 2012. And then it took a long time to get the second record together, and for various reasons. But I'm glad that we did.
Well, and the thing you mentioned, practicing on singing and focusing on your singing. The thing about that is that's the most vulnerable instrument, because you can be up there with a guitar, but it's not actually what you sound like. Guitars have their own sound and all, but it's not your God-given voice. You have a voice, and you need, when you're up there actually singing, I think it's criticism of that cuts probably deeper than if you're playing an instrument, because it's actually part of you.
It's true. And so singers are always insecure.
Yeah.
And it's also true that you're singing blind in most live situations. I mean, it's rare that you have a really good voice return.
Oh, wow. Really?
So it's, there's layers of difficulty there. It's hard enough just to sing a Beatles song, for instance, especially. Those are tricky. But then how can you do it in a live situation where you can't hear yourself very well?
Wow.
That's kind of the reality.
I never realized that it was like that. Wow.
In some cases, you have to kind of overcompensate. That, my tendency, let's say, is to sing flat, so I better make sure that I sharpen what I'm doing physiologically. So
the question that I know I'm going to be yelled at for if I don't ask is, did you and Elliot ever write or perform together or record anything together in high school?
No. I would go to his house and we would play music together.
Yeah.
But he had clear barriers around kind of what his project was. And I was not in those bands, and they could only be 4 members. He had rules, because he liked certain bands, like the Beatles, and Zeppelin, and Who. And it was always a foursome.
Yeah.
So you could never have 5 people.
Wow.
And so I guess in high school, I was more of a very close witness, in the sense that I would hear all of his demos, and I'd hear him do them live, and then I would be part of the sort of the recording and the distribution process. That's still amazing. Do my thing on the side.
Yeah. That's still pretty wild, though. After high school, what were you doing? Because the first thing that I see, and tell me if this is accurate or not, because the first credit that I actually see is something called Bedtime.
Bedtime?
Yeah. Is that you? Because it's linked on Discogs. It's if I pull up the Silver Snails and I pull up your name, it gives me a link to credits that you're a part of. And you're linked to something called Bedtime from 2007. It says Lucas Ward, electric guitar, Andrew Ramey and Josh Blaine, and James Friley on vocals and keyboards.
That's the first time I've heard of that. It must be another Lucas Ward.
Oh,
there are a number of us.
Okay, so it is linked to your Silver Snails
that's
credit.
Weird.
Yeah.
I guess through my name.
Yep.
And that's on Discogs?
Yeah.
I don't even really know what Discogs is.
Discogs is awesome. It's this enormous database of music, and so I've got like between 3,500 and 4,000 CDs, and I have cataloged the entire thing through Discogs. It has just about everything on there, and it's great for insurance, because if anything ever happens, I can say, here's my collection. I have to replace it now. Yeah, if you go in there and look up the Silver Snails, down below it has a track list of your first album, and then it has credits. It's got your name there, and then when I click onto it, it sends me to a page that has all your credits on it. And one thing that pops up is something called Bedtime. It's an alternative rock, indie rock, pop rock band, and that's pretty.
I've never heard of it. It's so interesting that you dug this out of obscurity. I mean, it must be something I need to know about. Or ignore completely. One or the other. It happens every once in a while. And in fact, when I had Ken Andrews from Failure on, I'm like, hey, what about this thing that you did? And he's like, that I didn't do that. I'm like, well, there's inaccuracies.
There goes that part. Yeah, there's not a whole lot, but there are a few. I mean, it's, I don't know who edits these things, but all right. Well, so that isn't you. So at least we've discovered that. So we've made that breakthrough.
Yeah.
So the first Silver Snails album comes out in 2012. So I know you'd mentioned that you'd gotten into business and all. What were you doing? And then how did you just decide, all right, I'm making this album. It's time to create some music for myself.
You mean the first album?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I had a very intense career in finance. I spent 5 years in Hong Kong as an equity research analyst, working for Goldman Sachs, and another 5 years for JP Morgan in San Francisco. And I was super burnt out and basically decided to just get out of the game for a while, and had met Elisa a few years earlier. And at one point, she really needed to be in Italy because we were having small children, and so she needed to be near her parents. And so we moved our home base there from San Francisco, and I've basically remained ever since.
Wow. Oh, man.
So when we came to Italy and I was like unplugged from finance, I was really looking at what I really wanted to do with my life as a second act. I settled on music, but it took me, as I mentioned, a few years to really refine the format. Was I going to be like a jazz keyboard guy?
Okay.
And I just, through sort of meditation, I had this strong epiphany that what I really wanted to do was write songs, like pop songs, and sing them. And so I've got my format, and it's been the Silver Snails ever since. I mean, that's been the structure and the branding, and my wife and kids are part of it. We have support people in the US and in Italy. Our goal is to make stuff that's super, super high quality, because as we know, the market for media of every type is completely saturated. So why should I care about something new unless it's really, really good?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why, one of the reasons why it took so long for us to get our second record album out, because we set the bar as high as we possibly could.
Wow.
But your original question was about the first record.
Yes.
It was a giant inspiration. It was like I was in this state of sort of euphoria and inspiration about sort of finding my thing, being a singer-songwriter. And Elisa contributed a lot of ideas to the first album, like about, one of them should be in French, for instance, and interpreting melodies in a certain way. And then we made videos as well. She was instrumental for that, because they're like on-location movies, basically, in around our home in Italy or at the beach. And, we had to find the people and wrangle the pianos and the costumes and the surfaces and write everything and get professional cameramen. So we did all of that with basically no experience together.
That's wild, because they're really good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There's like a lot of work goes into it.
I can tell. Yeah.
I encourage people to watch our latest, which is our version of Video Killed the Radio Star. And it's our crowning achievement in terms of making our own music videos. But so that first album was almost like the kitchen sink, and I was going from style to style.
Yeah, I noticed.
Language to language. You're just like casting the widest possible net because it was going to be like the one ring to rule them all, like the one album would be like for everybody around the world. And of course, expectations had to be a bit resized ultimately.
Okay.
And the second album came along, and the second album was much more stylistically focused around indie pop, alternative baroque. It's more Northwest and less world.
Yes.
But still draws on kind of my whole like cross-cultural experience between Italy and the Northwest.
Okay. I want to learn a little bit more about the Seven Melodies, the first album, because like you said, musically, it is really diverse. It's a global album. I mean, you've got like Irish sounding folk stuff. Yeah. There's Italian folk stuff. My favorite song on the entire album is the psychedelic pop sound of Temple Princess.
I prepare a car for my Temple Princess. I prepare a car for you, Temple Princess.
Princess.
That's my favorite on the album. That's amazing. But what I thought was really cool was the song Beatrice Russo. To me, that sounds like it's an Alan Parsons Project song. It's got this awesome soft prog 70s sound. It is really, really cool. I mean, I grew up, my mom was an Alan Parsons Project fan, so we had a bunch of their albums, and so it's kind of what I grew up on. And so that it's weird because it's a nostalgic sound, even though I've only recently heard the song. So it's a really interesting phenomenon that I kind of like.
Yeah.
Oh, my love, my ship its sails have gone. By night I'll be gone until we dream again. Oh, my love, for you a siren song is here and gone.
Yeah, I feel like we're in sort of a post-stylistic age where kind of anything goes and people are just sort of mixing and matching. But I sort of formed a little bit before that where I really feel strongly rooted in kind of classic rock and pop, like Beatles and Stones and Bob Dylan and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. So stuff from the 70s, mostly some 60s. But I kind of really discovered later music later on with like the Flaming Lips, which really bridges nicely from like the Beatles to like something that's much more forward looking and sounding.
Yeah. And
it still is about having a style instead of, it's not just anything good. It's
okay.
Like, so certain things like Fleetwood Mac, for instance, or Creedence Clearwater, still sounds like contemporary to me. Like it still sounds fresh.
Oh yeah.
And so I guess I was sort of searching for some of those sort of comfort food type of sounds, like the stuff that I grew up on, the mother's milk,
right?
Kind of guitar and drums and maybe lyrical approach.
Okay.
So yeah.
So working on this first album, it begs the question, what's behind the name The Silver Snails? How did you come up with that?
Yeah, we moved to Italy basically to have kids, and found this place out in the country, and it's pretty rustic and a lot of wild animals and whatnot. And anyway, our first year there, after some April rains, I came out and there were snails everywhere.
Oh, it
was like a surrealist movie. Just like, they were like barnacles.
Oh,
and
wow.
I started taking pictures of them. And then later on, I was looking at the pictures and I thought, wow, this would be a great totem for a pop rock band. And I had just formed the band and was looking for a name.
Oh, okay.
And so I realized that we were in this kind of valley that naturally favored these animals, but they also had a lot of really amazing and fun symbolism, and special powers. They have all kinds of magical powers, healing powers.
Oh, wow. I never knew that about snails.
Oh yeah, people use their slime for enzymes. It's like aloe vera, and
Really?
it can heal skin irritations.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
There's commercial products on the market.
That's crazy. I just knew they either got destroyed by my driveway, or the French eat them. That's about all my entire knowledge of snails.
Well, there's 5,000 species. There's giant ones and there's poisonous ones. So yeah, it's a big family. But
I got to do some more research on snails. Jeez. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. So the first album, is it all you, or do you have other people playing on it, or is it basically just you doing the whole thing?
Yeah. It's me writing and arranging, and then in the studio, lots of studio musicians.
Okay.
So we had a string quartet, on that one, for songs like Beatrice Russo, because especially for me, it was discovering all of that for the first time. That's one of the reasons why there were a lot of experiments, a lot of variety. We have horns on one song and strings on a couple more. And that was all done with people in the studio. We had one drummer for the most part for the first record.
Okay.
And one bass player. I mentioned that I'd spent some time studying music in Italy. And so I had networked with people that were the local heavyweights. And then when I connected with the studio situation, then I brought people, they brought people. And, the quality of the musicianship is very good.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. And what I thought was really, I like the title, the 7 melodies for the 7 songs. And then you got the bonus track, Coco Loco, which I thought was that was why I was not expecting a Caribbean flair to that song after hearing the whole album. I was like, I probably should have guessed with all the other sounds coming out, but I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. I was not expecting that.
Coco, 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 loco, 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 coco, 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 loco, 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 coco. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, not very commercial to have that kind of, genre variation in one album. But again, it was our first, we were just like kids in a candy store, in a musical candy store.
Oh, yeah. And, you just never know if you're going to get that second chance to do it. So you just throw everything that you want to do into that first album. I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm.
So that came out in 2012. Yeah. And the sophomore release is out in 2025.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a gap. And I know, like you said, you've really kind of expanded the group to include your kids. Your wife is still a big part of everything. Was the family? I mean, did you step away on purpose? And I know you mentioned you wanted to make sure that it was high quality. I mean, but that's a big gap. Was it that intentionally that, or did it just kind of have to go by the wayside for a little bit?
Yeah, it just happened. I mean, I didn't want it to be that long, but my only concern was making the best possible record I could make. I was kind of on a quest. And so I wouldn't even consider how long things would take or how hard they were to do or what they would cost. And so that's a lot of it, the first 8 years probably. But then there was a year or two because I wanted to switch my production base from Italy to Portland. Because I decided that the people that had worked on the 7 melodies, although they were good, I thought I could find better in the US. And for the most part I did. But it took a while to kind of establish a whole new ecosystem there. But I ended up recording in a great studio in Portland with a fantastic producer named Dylan McGarrick, who is a friend and has helped me a lot with marketing as well. Because, as an indie, it's not just about the product, right? I mean, you're in charge of all the social media, all the marketing, all the live.
Right.
I mean, if you want to play the game, it's on your shoulders as an artist.
Exactly.
And so I got invaluable help in Portland with all of that stuff. And then I hit a really rough patch financially, and I had to just focus on feeding the family for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of doing both.
Okay.
But it's a juggling act.
And there's always the COVID years. So, that didn't help things either.
Yeah. Exactly. That just kind of stopped me dead in my tracks.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with wanting it to sound great, was it difficult for you to decide when it was done, when everything was exactly how you wanted it?
Yeah, I should have set better boundaries for myself of let's get this done by, or this is good enough. But my philosophy has been, and I think remains, that, selecting what I figure are the winners and then polish them until they're just absolutely sparkling. So, in other words, and that another way to think about it is remove the last obstacle. It's like, are you willing to get that remixed? Are you willing to get another drummer to do it? Are you willing to get the vocals redone in that one section? Because you just kind of know. You just kind of know as an artist when you're self-producing that it could be better there or better that. So, but that got me into trouble because I got 90% of the album done over a long period of time. And it was great, but I completely ran out of funding. And so then I had to pivot completely to kind of scrambling and feeding the family.
Yeah.
But then someone close to me came to me very unexpected. And they said, how much do you need to finish that record?
Wow.
And I said, I gave him a figure.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, I'm writing a check, but it has to be done by the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
So that he gave me some tough love, and it worked. And then suddenly, there was money wasn't an excuse, and I had to get it done. And so that's how I got the last 10% done.
That's amazing.
Then from there, it's been about kind of threading it into my work. What is my time budget in a given week, and what can I get done within that, given all of the sort of commitments, including singing. And, as soon as I get off with you, my wife and I are going to go practice for our show.
Oh, sweet.
Well, just with an acoustic guitar in the B&B, but that's all you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Busking is the foundation.
So speaking of shows, in the gap, the 13-year gap between album releases, were you playing shows on a regular basis or irregularly or at all?
I had some really nice bursts. So I really wanted to play in the New York area. So with friends in New York, I was able to create a sort of a little mini tour of entry-level rock clubs. And I brought a band from Italy, and we had a fantastic time. And, we videoed the whole thing. And,
cool.
That was wonderful. And then I started going to Portland to focus on recording and getting that set up. And that sort of culminated in a tour of the Northwest I had great recording musicians and great live musicians, but not a lot of overlap.
Oh, wow.
They can do it, of course, but it seems like the markets are slightly segmented. I'm not sure why. Anyway, but so we played Seattle and Portland, Eugene and Salem and Everett and we played a show earlier this year in Italy as well. So we have a new band there. So I'm hoping that I can make it a regular event and there won't be any more long gaps. And I hope, the next record comes out within, 3 years or something.
There you go. So before we get to that one, let's get to the new one.
Yeah.
You started everything off with an appetizer of Elliot Smith. You guys did Pretty Ugly Before, which I thought was amazing. So How, out of all the songs you could have chosen to cover, is there a reason that you picked that specific one?
Yeah, it's the one that moves me the most in terms of the lyrics. It is extremely interesting from like a harmonic standpoint, the chord changes. And that was like, he was really into chord changes, especially on the guitar. And it's kind of a B-side, so maybe something that people haven't heard as much. It's not like Between the Bars, which you hear tons of people covering that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel pretty enough for you. I felt so ugly before. I didn't know what to do.
Because it came out on a posthumous record.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of like maybe not as that record was, and some of the songs on that record are unfinished, like very obviously unfinished. This one seems like it's 85% finished.
Okay.
So when we did our own version, we actually filled in some stuff where there was just like chords, and nothing else, because he died before he finished. But there are live versions of this one anyway. But I mean, so this is like peak Elliot, I think, the idea that you felt so ugly before that you didn't know what to do.
What I really like about it is like what you just said. It's not one of the more well-known songs. I love when a band will do that. We'll take an artist that's fairly popular and choose a song that maybe not everybody's heard to cover. I love when that happens. You also did another interesting cover. The second release is the Buggles classic, Video Killed the Radio Star.
They took the credit for your second symphony, rewritten by machines and new technology. And now I understand the problems you can see. I met your children. What did you tell them? Pictures came and broke your heart.
Which,
Yeah.
I haven't I haven't heard too many people cover that. I think maybe once a while back. I don't know. How did you pick that song too? Because that is just it's a fun song. I mean, it's just it's a blast. It's a blast to listen to. I can only imagine it's a lot of fun to play.
It is, and in fact, that's why we picked it. It's something that lends itself well to our format, which is multi-gender, intergenerational. So you have a tenor vox, in me, and then they're like doing the response. So it works great with our format, but also in terms of some of the themes. I mean, it was kind of a space pop thing.
Okay.
And we play with sci-fi and space pop a lot. Like if you see our first video, Dancing with the Stars, we sort of established that. And then we continue it in Video Killed the Radio Star. We see that as a sequel. And then finally, it's, I guess we could say, the meaning behind the song, if you want to take it that seriously. He's talking about technology transitions, driving media transitions. Mm-hmm. Like what's changing and what's staying the same. They took the credit for your second symphony, rewritten by machines. And he was in 1980 talking about machines rewriting the symphonies.
Yeah. It's unbelievably even more relevant today than it was at the time, I think.
Exactly. So he saw that when video became the dominant medium relative to radio, that would affect a lot of things in the industry. That you wanted to have good videos for one thing, as a musician. And that's something that I saw as well, like when I looked at it, but there's a guy named Marshall McLuhan who was like an advertising guru for like the early 20th century.
Okay.
And he coined the phrase, the medium is the message.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, I think he was the first one to realize that our brains are shaped by the kind of media that we consume. And when technology changes the format, like going from oral tradition to print, or print to film, or film to radio, or radio to video, or video to streaming, or streaming to virtual.
Yeah.
Like it kind of changes our software. Like we get reprogrammed. And so
interesting.
But in terms of our project, we're overtly trying to provide good content that will drive, an emotional deliverable. In other words, make you feel better.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so there's a lot of unusual things about that song, and it's the only time I've ever heard anyone really sing about this whole relationship between technology and media and kind of human taste.
That's true. I mean, just off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else that's even close.
Yeah.
Man. So with the gap between albums and your pursuit of making everything exactly how you want it, did the songs change drastically from the time you started to the time the album released, or was it just there were little things that you were working on? Or I guess maybe I'm sure it varied from song to song, but I mean, is there one that changed drastically?
Yeah, like there are things. So it's for me, it's kind of like sculpture. Like I'm trying to liberate an ideal out of an idea or a demo.
Okay.
And so what that means is just kind of keep taking next steps on the song because I'm not satisfied with something.
Okay.
So for instance, the last song on the record, which is called Galen's Song, we recorded one drummer and it didn't sound right. Recorded a second drummer, which is a huge investment,
Oh yeah.
because second drummer bass, and it didn't sound right. So then we went back to my demo drums, which were basically software drums. So it's the only time I've ever used software drums because they sounded better than the two people we recorded. And then
wow.
In that phase of like that my angel who funded, the finishing of the record, so I'm the part where I had to finish it. I listened to the song and I didn't like my voice in the lead vocal position.
Okay.
So I gave it to my daughter, Jasmine, and to me, it just was transformed it.
Oh, wow.
And I can't wait to make more music where she's the lead singer, because she's always been the backup singer. And her sister's on it too. So, and it had all of these tracks and I still felt like it was missing something. So I found a little guitar part. It's kind of like a little bouncing kind of rhythmic part.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, here we are. But did I stop there? I don't think so. I think there was some keyboards to put in the outro, so like, seriously, like the way I look at it is once it's done, then it's like out there in the world and you cannot change it after that.
Right.
And
right.
So that's just an example of a song where I just kept taking more steps until I felt that it really was as good as I could make.
When two objects collide, forces unleash and forces conserve. When two people have tried, passions have ceased, there's nothing to learn. Where does the love go?
And I'll tell you, my favorite on the album is A Flagrant Display of Magic.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for saying that.
That is my absolute favorite on this whole album. That's such a great song. And it's like the songs that I'm gravitating towards on both albums are those songs that to me have like a pop psych 70s feel to them. You guys do that so well.
The sun decides to go round again, but in a flagrant display of magic, we find a way to begin again each day. Silly me.
Is there an overarching theme to the album? Is it just a group of the songs that you got finished?
To me, they're like a collection of children, and each one kind of has its own soul and its own personality, but they are they are a cohort because they all came through the same pipeline and they were selected. And there are resonances between them, but they're mostly standalone.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, that 70s sound. So my next favorite, and I got to say this, is Would the Moon Know?
Oh, wow.
Those are my top two on there. And it, depending on when I'm listening to it, they'll flip flop.
Put things in perspective, reset my heart to love. Would the moon know? How could the moon know? It has bigger fish to fry than my what, where, how, and why. How could the moon?
Like I said,
Wow.
that's the 70s psych sound is what I'm really drawn to with you guys. It's really cool.
Wow. I mean, thanks for listening.
Oh yeah, of course.
This, to me, the 70s can't be beat.
No.
I mean, I love it too. You know, Would the Moon Know came out kind of interesting because it's kind of like almost like a fast country thing at some point,
Yeah.
but then it's more like kind of a rock ballad.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes, it has a double mode. And we had to keep putting in more and more vocals. If you listen to the high harmonies, there's some really interesting kind of colors there. And I had so much fun making it with my friend Dylan in the studio. And you know, you're always kind of, as you're watching these babies slowly emerge, you're thinking, oh, which one is the alpha? You know, maybe that's the first focus track we'll do, you know. And there have been many days where we thought Would the Moon Know was like leading.
Yeah.
But apparently it's number 5 or more out of 10 because we have the first 4 are not that. But I think it's because we didn't do any filler. And so all of these songs have been selected and worked. And so there's a lot of deep tracks. And A Flagrant Display of Magic is way up there for me personally because I felt like it was an example of where I had sort of a feeling that I wanted to externalize in music. And I was able to communicate it devastatingly effectively, I think. And I got lucky with some of the performances from the musicians, like the drummer. Every time the drums come in, it just amazes me. But I challenged myself in terms of doing all of the vocal, it was like 12-part vocal harmonies.
Oh, wow.
And I was very inspired by Bon Iver, for instance. And
That makes sense.
so I was kind of trying on that sound anyway.
So are you, I'm assuming, you're planning on playing this live? Are you planning on touring, or is it going to be more like a regional thing, like Portland area, then Italy? How and how are you going to work everything out? I mean, because some of this stuff is so dense.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of what we can do live, we're on a budget. So we were able to come here to the West Coast, and I knocked on doors in Seattle and Portland and the Oregon coast. And I ended up with 3 shows in Portland. And so those are the ones we're going to do. But we'll do more shows. Then we'll go back to Italy. And, you know, our opportunities to play will then be playing locally in Italy, which we intend to do, or live streaming.
Oh, cool.
Until we have kind of a catalyst maybe to come back to the U.S., you know, West Coast, most likely. I don't see us going to the East Coast anytime soon, but you never know.
Oh, man.
And
if you do, you got to let me know, because I'm outside of D.C., so.
Oh, okay.
So I would love to see how these songs transform live.
Yeah. Oh, the arrangements. Yeah. You know, you got to have good musicians. You know, like you have to have real pros.
Yeah.
Whether it's the studio or the live. Like I've been blessed, and it's a privilege to play with these guys. And what's funny sometimes is when you're doing it live, it sounds like, let's say the drum part or something maybe doesn't sound that good. But then when you hear the recording of it, it's like, wow, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
In other words, don't judge it until you hear it in playback, because most of the time they're doing things that by experience they know will sound good. They're doing it in a way that's going to, it's just like when we were talking about communicating vocally, despite maybe not being able to hear yourself. I mean,
Right,
they're
right.
in similar situations where they know what to do to sort of project in a way that sounds good. That's
Oh,
like
that's
a high
interesting.
level of musicianship in a live situation.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that there's two completely different beasts, live in the studio and what sounds good in each situation.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
is the live show going to be a mix of both albums, or are you going to focus more on the
Yes.
new one?
Yeah, both albums, just everything that, I mean, we're not doing all of our recorded music, so there are songs like Ave Maria Azio Virgilio. It could be arranged live, the whole tango thing. But we've just never invested in like making our bands do that. But they can learn anything. So I just make a list, and then we have practices, and it all kind of comes together at the end, a lot of it, where some people are super prepared, other people just kind of fall in right at the end. But either from experience or because this is the type of game that they're in,
Yeah.
they will be solid. And then for me, I'm always practicing the same stuff over and over again.
Okay.
And I like to do covers as well, so we will be doing some covers.
Oh, cool. So can
As you
you
know,
give us a sneak peek of what kind of covers you might play? I mean, Elliot Smith maybe,
We'll see.
or something else?
yeah. So we'll do Pretty Ugly Before with my wife singing harmony, and we'll do Video Killed the Radio Star
Nice.
with the band behind me and her kind of doing the male-female thing.
Yeah.
And we like to play Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles.
Oh, wow.
I was thinking maybe some Creedence.
Oh, man. This is awesome.
There are bars in Portland that don't allow covers. Like, they
Really?
have a rule, no covers. Oh yeah, because I guess cover bands are seen as less than in a place that like maybe values original or so. I don't know what it is, but this is the kind of the code in Portland.
That's insane.
I say, playing covers is a great way, if it's done well, to connect with the audience. And
Absolutely.
just entertain people generally, and also honor your own influences.
I 100% agree with you.
Most of the artists that I love play covers. So,
Yeah. I mean, some of the greatest bands in history played covers to start with
yeah.
because they didn't have a long enough set for themselves. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the situation we've been in. But with the new record, fortunately, we've got more material.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So are your children going to be part of the live shows, or are they going to be too busy with school?
Well, my youngest son, Elias, is here. He's 11.
Oh,
and
nice.
I do expect him to rock the mic.
Oh, awesome. Are they excited about that, or do they get a little nervous doing that?
Well, there's 3 of them, and it's kind of different for each one. My oldest daughter, Jasmine, is gung-ho.
Oh,
And
nice.
She's like a real captain of the guard.
Yeah.
And she'll wrestle up. She's 22, so she can find like musicians her own age that are really good. So she's a great resource. And then, Celeste does it when she feels like it. She's an 18-year-old. And then Elias really likes to sing, but it's early days. We're sort of still playing with it.
That makes total sense, though. Yeah. It's not easy to get up there in front of a whole bunch of people, like we were talking about earlier, and when you're that young, it's maybe even a little tougher.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him in a concert in our hometown this summer, and he was the lead singer, and he played a Foo Fighters song,
Oh, wow.
and it was great. And I was like, wow! And I just felt this emotion, like he's got it. He can lead sing.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
11 years old. I hope that he doesn't lose the joy of doing that, because he's already kind of put it together.
That's
So he took lessons too. He worked. He had 2 years of lessons.
oh, cool.
Plus, growing up in the project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's seen it from every angle. So, what is the best way for people to find the album and pick up a copy or listen to it?
Yes. So it's on Spotify. Right now we have 3 focus tracks out, including Video Killed the Radio Star and then 2 other originals. I would also direct people to the Silver Snails at YouTube, where we have original music videos, including of the Elliot one and also Video Killed the Radio Star already out.
Is there a social media presence where people can follow you guys and see what you guys are up to?
Yeah, we have Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
We're not big on TikTok.
No.
So mostly Instagram, I would say.
That's the one I use. I'm being a photographer. That's my favorite one to use.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I have really enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed listening to the album. It blows me away how much effort you've put into this, and you've just been doggedly pursuing what you heard in your head. It's so impressive and so amazing. Thank you for sharing it with me.
Thank you, Mark. I feel extremely seen and heard.
Well, that's the goal. That's why I try to listen to the album several times and kind of get a feel of everything before I go ahead and drop the ball on finding a dude with the same name who is not in the band, who's not you.
I'm glad you did. You pulled my coat, so I need to look into it.
Oh man, well, thank you so much for spending time. I know you've got to get to some practice here, but I just wanted to thank you for sharing your evening with me and sharing the music.
Thank you, Mark. It was such a pleasure.